What up, y'all? This is Tracy from Squish, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Join me as I create a dream map for Halloween Horror Nights. This is important. Y'all know I could get long-winded, but since we're going to be creating a dream map and nerding out about things that I genuinely love, it's gonna get lengthy. I'm going to rant, so get a drink. Get a lacto cooler, get a water, whatever you want. I've got some berry liquid death in this cup that is just oh so perfect for the occasion. Let's go a little sip. Oh yeah, I'm gonna need that. So obviously on this channel, we talk about Halloween Horror Nights a lot, and this year we have focused on the 2 Spec maps that they have dropped this season. But it kind of got me thinking. There's so many properties and ideas that I would love to see represented at this event. So I was thinking, you know what, let's sit down and let's all nerd out together and see what kind of dream Halloween Horror Nights event we can come up with, right? 2 things before we get started. If you're new here, this is Nerd Squish, where we take everything spooky and we take everything nerdy and we squish it all together. So if you like Halloween, horror movies, and Halloween Horror Nights, definitely hit that subscribe button so you can see more videos from us in the future. And before I rattle off into my obsessions of what I want to see at this event, I need to put a little disclaimer out here that this is, don't freak out. This is nothing that is coming to the event that is rumored. I mean, some of them may be rumors for this year or whatever, but this is all just in my brain. This is in my brain. These are the little things that I'm obsessed with that I would like to see, and it has nothing besides that. And on the flip side of that, it's things that I think would be successful and would do well at the event, not just for myself, but for all the other guests. I'd love to walk through the halls of Pleasantville High and hang out with Big Wolf on campus, but is that gonna bring people into Halloween Horror Nights? No. Oh no. So, you won't be seeing things like that in here. Without further ado, let's get on into it. I think it's only appropriate with this dream map to start off with scare zones. After all, scare zones are the first things that, you see when you walk into the park for Halloween Horror Nights. You're greeted by these themes and these zones before you ever step foot into a house, or even before you step into an hour-long queue to get into said house. So on my dream map for Halloween Horror Nights, I propose a theme for the scare zones. That theme being Universal monsters. After all, the monsters are a huge part of Universal history and the reason that the company found success. Even though these characters date back to the days of black and white film and the transition into talkie films, they're still such a huge part of pop culture, and I feel like everyone is familiar with them. So I think that each scare zone should be broken down and themed after one monster. So the very first scare zone that you enter, the very first thing that you see when you enter the park, unless you're staying for Stay and Scream, is Plaza of the Stars. And in this scare zone, I think we should have none other than Count Dracula. Now, for some reason, I've always seen Dracula as the leader of the pack when it comes to the Universal monsters. And maybe it's because theatrically, he kind of was the first one, at least of the bunch that I picked for the scare zones. So I think it's only fitting that he would be the monster that greets you as you enter into the park. And I really think that they could have fun with this. Obviously, this scare zone is kind of difficult to do anything really grand. So I think we tone it down with Dracula. And, much like the last couple years, they've had this big arch or whatever that you walk through. And, one year they had all the pumpkins hanging from it and they were lit up. So I'm putting it out there that you put this back up, but you put just thousands of bats hanging from them with little glowing eyes. And when you walk under it, you hear the little ee screech of bats. Pretend that that's what bats sound like, because clearly I'm not a bat. But I just think this would be so cool, walk through this and you could be greeted by Dracula. Maybe he would be in the front, kind of where the Pumpkin Lord was last year, doing some big production, listen to them, the children of the night, what music they make. And then you'll walk through and you see Van Helsing, coming at you with a stake. Maybe you'll see Renfield with his maniacal laugh eating spiders. I think this could be a really fun way to decorate the Plaza of the Stars. So the natural progression into the park, you turn and you enter into Hollywood. And I think in this section of the park, the perfect fit for the scare zone would be the world of Frankenstein. Now, this is a rather large scare zone, so I'm thinking they could build multiple sets from the movie. So you could literally just walk through the entire experience of Frankenstein and all of its characters. Now, I'm talking you walk in, you're in the graveyard, we're digging for body parts, right? And then in the middle of it, you can put this whole stage, kind of like, think about when they did the Vanity Ball. Was that what it was called? But you have a big stage in the middle that kind of brings everybody together. And in here, you can have the creation scene. So we'll see the monster on the table rising up, lightning striking him, coming back down, the hand twitching, and the doctor screaming it's alive. And then as you further walk through, you go to everything from the windmill burning down and, the town with pitchforks, and maybe you'll even see the Bride of Frankenstein. I think this would be a perfect setup for this particular scare zone.
God, only 2 scare zones in that still.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be a lot. I'm gonna need more liquid death. As we continue to stroll, we enter Central Park. And in this scare zone, we're gonna have my all-time favorite universal monster, the Wolfman. I mean, come on, baby, we're already in the woods. Just imagine walking up into this little park, this little forest, the fog rolling in and consuming you till you can't see anything, and boom, the Wolfman pops out at you. I mean, it's my dream. So I'm thinking also along the lines of when they did Trick or Treat and they had like a track playing every now and then, like with audio and stuff from the film. So I'm thinking they could do that so they can recite the famous, even a man who was pure at heart, and well, you know how it goes. And then I'm also thinking about when they had Gorewood Forest and how they had the Terror Queen out in the like front on this like stage area, and they kind of had both a performance and a photo op situation. And I'm thinking we follow that formula, okay? So you have a little stage right when you get to the front of the scare zone, and you can either put the Wolfman up there just being sinister and growling, right? And you can go up and kind of take a picture kind of below in front of him, and you can like stoop down and be all like Wolfman creepy with you, right? That's tight. Hello, my dream again. Or maybe for the performance kind of stage show kind of thing, you can have something where like you watch him transform. But you see what I'm going with this. This could be a perfect Universal Monster scare zone. Living for it. Strolling right along to San Francisco, this is where we have the creature from the Black Lagoon. I feel like I don't need to explain this one. It has waterfront views, a seafood restaurant, and it overlooks Fisherman's Wharf. So right away, we're in that waterland, you know what I'm saying? We're feeling Creature from the Black Lagoon even before we plop him in there. So last year where they had the big stage for Conjure the Dark, you put a big Rita and you have this whole performance where you have Gilman K and the rest of the crew. Also in this area, we have a little bar that serves the famous Shark Attack drink. So I'm thinking for Halloween Horror Nights, we do a little spin on this drink and we do the Swamp Attack. Okay, I'm just saying, it's brilliant, you're welcome. And rounding out our last scare zone in the New York area, we put the Mummy. I think it's only fitting that we would have the Mummy scare zone in the area of the park that has Revenge of the Mummy. That way, you can go to Finnegan's, you can drink a mummy, then you can go on Revenge of the Mummy and ride the mummy, and then you can go on the scare zone and you can hang out with the mummy. What's cooler than that? So that wraps up my scare zone dream map, okay? Now I realize in this one I went into some pretty heavy details about location-wise in the park. I'm not gonna be doing that for the houses because to be honest, it changes a lot from year to year. And for me personally, that doesn't really make that big of a difference to me. Now, that's not for every house. There are some houses that it's like, okay, had this concept been in a tent versus a soundstage, it may not have been as good. But to me at Halloween Horror Nights, like once I get in that house, they are so elaborate, especially with some of these tents that you don't even realize you're not in a soundstage. So I'm not gonna get all wild and crazy with the locations. We're just gonna list off the properties and the ideas that I would like to see in the 10 haunted houses at Halloween Horror Nights. This is where it gets real lengthy, so we're gonna... Okay, so my first house at Halloween Horror Nights on my dream map would be Scream. Because Like, how has this not been done before? It's so simple. Like, why aren't we doing this? There's no intense set work, practical effects, or makeup. It's just good old-fashioned blood, gore, and ghost face in a simple house setting. This is a no-brainer. Let's do this. My second house at Halloween Horror Nights would be Renfield. This is one of Universal's newest movies, and it features a modern twist on a classic character. If you've watched my last couple videos, you know that I have been nerding out about this movie basically since the announcement, and I'm still nerding out about it even a month after watching the movie. It's beautiful, and I love it. Everything about this movie is just glossy and extravagant enough to be a perfect house. Imagine walking through Mulots with that spooky overlay. Imagine walking through the rotting halls of Charity Hospital only to be led to Dracula sitting on his blood-bag throne. This one could be equal parts fun and terrifying. My third house at Halloween Horror Nights would be Hatchet, which is of course the franchise from Adam Green. This is one that's probably never even been considered at the event because it is such an underrated movie. However, I love it. It's about a group of tourists that get stranded in the swamp with the supernatural killer, Victor Crowley. Essentially, it's the Louisiana version of Friday the 13th. I think the swamp sets would be super, super fun. You know, Halloween Horror Nights has proven that they can do swamps right. The creative team would have an absolute blast with the gore that they could create from Victor Crowley, because y'all know, these movies are scary, but they're very, B-movie, over-the-top, ridiculous. This is not even practical. There's no way this could actually happen. It's bonkers. It's beautiful. I want to walk through this house. My fourth house at Halloween Horror Nights would be The Lost Boys. Okay, this is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I would scream if I got to step into this world. I want to be in Santa Carla, strolling around on the boardwalk as I see David and the gang hanging around at the carousel. I want to see an oiled up Tim Capello putting on the performance of a lifetime because I still believe. I want to stroll through the comic book shop and meet the Frog Brothers. I want to be there when Michael drinks the blood, and I want to witness the bridge scene. But most importantly, I want to be in the middle of the action of that final fight scene at Grandpa's house. And look, they could do so many things with this house. There's so many fun sets, so many fun characters, but the way it ends is what's most important. I want to exit this house and encounter Grandpa just slamming a beer out of the blood-stained fridge and saying to me, "One thing about living in Santa Carla I can never stomach. All the damn vampires." Brilliant. Brilliant. Let's do this. Let's go. Let's bring the 80s vampires back to life and let's walk through this house. My fifth haunted house at Halloween Horror Nights is Scooby-Doo. Seeing as the gang is already represented in the parks, this is a no-brainer to me. Scooby-Doo has been a beloved franchise since the late 60s and continues to evolve and enchant spooky little kids. And obviously this would be the comedy house of the year, because every year we gotta have some house that's just a little on the goofy side. So think Ghostbusters or Killer Clown style with this one. Now, obviously, there's a lot of inspiration they can pull from because this beloved franchise has been around for so long. So they could do the original television series, the 2002 live-action movie, or they could do the best Scooby-Doo movie of all time, Zombie Island. If you don't agree that that's the best Scooby-Doo movie, you're wrong. I'm kidding, sort of. Now, I think all of these would be fun, they would all be great, but I think they personally should pull from the original Scooby-Doo Where Are You television series. I mean, this is the show that made everyone fall in love with these characters. And as we all know, the background art in the original Scooby-Doo series is beautiful, and it would be so fun to see these recreated into real-life set pieces that we could walk through. I'm just saying, I'm trying to solve a mystery with the Mystery Inc. gang. Let's go. My sixth house is Sleepy Hollow. I would love to see a house that puts you into the world of the 1999 Tim Burton adaptation of Sleepy Hollow because it's just so dang beautiful. That movie that's Halloween vibes, right there. I love watching that movie on Halloween night because it's a classic. It is classic. The Headless Horseman, the fog rolling in. It's beautiful. I'm trying to dance around the tree of the dead. Who's with me? Although I will admit that I am not prepared to see the witch in the woods and her like snake eyes and stuff like that. She still kind of scares me. My 7th house is Fear Street. Growing up, I loved reading the Fear Street series from R.L. Stine, so you know I was excited when Netflix dropped the trilogy of movies that were loosely based on the books. Even though these movies are quite different from the books, I think they would translate beautifully to a house at Halloween Horror Nights. Each movie takes place in a different time, has very unique sets, and multiple villains that they could drop into this house. And in 2021, when the movies came out, there was actually like a pop-up experience that went along to promote the movies, and that kind of gives you insight to what they could do at the event. Now, granted, Halloween Horror Nights would do it like 1,000 times better because that's what they do. My 8th house would be Devil Dogs. If you saw my video for the first Spec map of the season, you know that I was excited about this house. This concept was featured in a house back at Halloween Horror Nights 28, and I think these motorcycle riding werewolves deserve a house all their own. Like, I want to walk into a 70s dive bar and slam beers with like werewolf bikers. Who doesn't want to do that? Is it just me? It can't be just me. Let me know in the comments if you would hang out with werewolves in a biker bar and drink beers with them. Please tell me I'm not alone. So yeah, this one was on the first Spec map of the season. It got dropped off on the second one, and we should all have a moment of silence for the coolest house that we will never see. My 9th house is Vamp Mardi Gras. So this is my like one original house. I mean, I guess you could technically say Devil Dogs is original, but it's like one that's already kind of been fleshed out by Halloween Horror Nights. Like, this one is kind of like, I have nothing really to base this on. Like, it's in my brain and it's beautiful and I want to see it. So the event has had scare zones featuring vampires from a specific time. They've had Vamp 55 and Vamp 85. I want to take that idea and go a bit farther with it and incorporate Universal's love for Mardi Gras. You can see all year round that Universal has a fondness for the holiday and the city of New Orleans. Kern Studios, based out of New Orleans, has been involved in designing and building many of the props and the floats that you see at the park. After Blaine Kern, Mr. Mardi Gras himself, passed away back in 2020, Universal unveiled a tribute on a second-story window where the parade processions start rolling, so Kern can oversee all the fun, even in the afterlife. So let the good times roll. Let's step into the streets of New Orleans for Mardi Gras, and we're on the parade route, but guess what? It's infested with vampires. And honestly, I feel like this is not far-fetched. We all know that Halloween Horror Nights does love New Orleans set stories at the event. They've had Bayou of Blood, Dead Waters, and Graveyard Games, all taking place in Louisiana. So, I don't know. Let me know. Is that a weird concept? Am I just nerding out on New Orleans too hard? Like, let me know. My 10th and final house is The Conjuring. We've been hoping to see this franchise for what seems like forever at this event, and naturally, there's a lot of legal issues surrounding the entirety of The Conjuring and the Warrens and all of it. So, I don't know if we'll ever actually see it, but in my fantasy dream map world, oh my god, this would be perfect. At this point, there's 8 movies in the franchise. So, to me, we shouldn't focus on one particular movie, but just go throughout the whole story, but while also keeping it focused on the Warrens. A lot of the offshoot movies that haven't featured the Warrens, haven't really cared for those so much, but think about the sets and the villains. I mean, look, I'm just letting you know, if I see the Nun, brown pants. Instantly. I'm crying, I'm screaming, I'm running, I'm knocking anybody out of my way. I don't care. Whoever's in front of me, I'm sorry. You're getting stampeded. You're about to look like Mufasa in The Lion King because I don't like that nun. I don't like her. I love her, but I don't like her. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. All right, folks, that is my Halloween Horror Nights dream map. Now, there's like 1,000 other properties and ideas that I could probably think of that I would love to see at this event. So let me know in the comments if you would like to see a dream map version too, because I'll nerd out about this event every day, all day, until my last breath. and I know you're right there along with me. And I want you guys to nerd out with me. Let me know, let's have a discussion in the comments. Do you like any of the ideas that I mentioned in this video? Or what are your original ideas or maybe beloved franchises that you would love to see at this event? Hopefully y'all enjoyed this video, because you know I just love a chance to nerd out and talk about one of my favorite events of the year. Because I see y'all, I see those new subscribers that have been coming in with Halloween Horror Nights videos, so I know I'm not alone in nerding out about this, and I just want to thank you so very much for joining in and listening to me rant about all of this. I hope y'all enjoyed this video about my dream map for Halloween Horror Nights. If you did like it, make sure to give it a big old thumbs up. It definitely helps out the channel. And if you'd like to see more Halloween Horror Nights videos, because there will be many, many more coming for this season, definitely hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can see more videos from us in the future. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you nerds in the fog! Scooby-Doo, where are you? We got some drinks to drink now.